Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marley and today I'm going to be doing my April reading wrap up. So I'm going to be telling you about the 6 books that I read during the month of April. The first book that I read in April was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is the third book of Adam's that I have read and probably my favorite. It's about these two boys who live in a world where there's this thing called Death Cast, where on the day that you are going to die, you get a phone call telling you that you're going to die sometime in the next 24 hours. So then basically you can choose to do whatever you want to do during that day, whether that's say your goodbyes, go on an adventure, live your last day to the fullest type of thing. These two boys, Mateo and Rufus, end up connecting on an app called Last Friend, which is sort of like the friend version of Tinder. There's a bunch of different people's profiles. You can choose who you want to connect with to be your last friend, whether that's you're getting on the app because it's your death day, or you didn't get the call but you want to be there for someone else who's having their last day. So these two boys end up connecting on there and they spend their last day together, getting into a bit of trouble, going on adventures, and building a friendship within their last 24 hours. And of course, then they both die at the end. This book, like all of Adam's previous books I've read, did take me a little while to get into it, definitely a few chapters, but once I was into it, I was definitely really into the story. The relationship between the two main characters is really cool and really sweet, and it's also interesting to see all of the different relationships throughout the book, as we do see from not just Mateo and Rufus's point of views, but from a few other characters, and throughout the novel you get to see how all of their stories sort of intertwine. A lot of them are also having their death day, and you can sort of see different point of views of how people deal with living in this world with death cast. It also really makes you think about death in an interesting way, like would you want to know when you're gonna die? And if you did, what would you do with your last day? So yeah, you can get pretty deep thinking about that stuff. I definitely would recommend this book if this is something that interests you. The next book I read is One of Us is Lying. One of Us is Lying. One of Us is Lying by Karen M. Mcmanus. This is about 4 individuals in high school who all end up in the same detention where a 5th student dies. It is a murder mystery where the 4 remaining students who are still alive after the detention become suspects for the kid's death, because the kid who died ran a gossip site where he revealed secrets about all of his classmates, and the police reveal that there was a draft on his app that had revealing secrets about all of the 4 students who were in detention with him, making them prime suspects because obviously they don't want those secrets to get out. I really enjoyed this book. It was a very quick read for me. I don't think the mystery is like the most difficult thing to figure out, although it did keep me guessing for a little while, but I think by the end you sort of know where it's going. But I do think it was still a sort of unique idea. I really enjoyed reading from all of the different characters' points of view and seeing the relationships that form between our main 4 characters, and I would definitely recommend this book to everyone. The next book I read is One of Us is Next, again by Karen M. Mcmanus, and this is actually the sequel to One of Us is Lying. It follows a new group of friends, one of which is the sister of one of the main characters from One of Us is Lying. So we definitely see a lot of the same characters within the town that we saw in the previous book. However, we're focusing specifically on a few different teenagers. Basically, it's a year later and someone has started up this truth or dare game where they text the whole student body and they pick a specific person to do truth or dare, and if you don't do their dare, they will reveal a secret about you to the whole school. Eventually, one of the dares turns deadly and it returns to be another murder mystery similar to the first book. Our main crew is trying to figure out what's going on, who's behind it, and again, this was another really quick read for me. The book really kept you guessing throughout, and even to the last page there was still a little twist, which I really appreciated. So overall, I would really recommend these 2 books to anyone. The 4th book I read is What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Abertali. This book is told through a dual perspective from Ben and Arthur. Each of the boys is told by one of the different authors that I mentioned. Arthur is spending the summer in New York where Ben already lives full time. Arthur is doing an internship and bumps into Ben at the post office one day. He is immediately smitten by him, but they end up getting separated, and a big chunk of the book is them trying to find their way back to each other just based off their initial couple minutes of conversation and the observations that they could make from how each other looked, because they never got the chance to exchange phone numbers or anything like that. This book is really cute, but it did have to grow on me again. I wasn't thrilled with the whole love at first sight story initially, as they were both so smitten with each other after only meeting briefly at the post office. I wasn't really sure if that was very realistic. I'm not big on the whole love at first sight trope. However, once you see the boys meet again later in the book, you see that it's not really love at first sight. There are issues that they have to get through, and they do have a process of getting to know each other with a couple bad dates in between. So it was really nice seeing their relationship evolve, and overall it's a really cute story. So I would just recommend this if that's what you're in the mood for, just a kind of light, cute romance book. The fifth book I read in April was Two Can Keep a Secret, Karen M. Mcmanus's third book. I chose to read this because I had loved her two previous books, as I already mentioned. I thought I would just finish up and read her third and final book. In this book, it follows a pair of twins, one is a boy, one is a girl, who end up having to go live with their grandmother in a small town when their mom is sent to rehab. They don't really know much about the town, as their mom never really told them very much about her growing up, since she was struggling with the fact that her twin sister disappeared when they were teenagers in high school. So when they return to town, more suspicious things begin to happen. Another teenage girl disappears, and Ellery, the main character, is trying to figure out what's going on, as she does have an interest for crime solving, which is very convenient. So they're trying to figure out the mystery of the past. Obviously, their aunt disappeared, and another young girl had disappeared a few years before, and now the disappearances are happening again. So I really enjoyed this book, just like Karen's other books. There's something so interesting about reading a murder mystery and trying to kind of go through all the suspects in your head to figure out who actually is a killer. So again, I could sort of figure it out as the characters did until it was finally revealed, and I would definitely recommend this book to everyone if you're in the mood for a mystery. The final book that I read in April, I actually read in under 24 hours, so that can kind of show you how much I enjoyed it, but it is called Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is about a woman whose 15-year-old daughter disappeared one day, and now we are in the present 10 years later. We see some flashbacks of when the daughter disappeared, but mainly we are in the present day, and the catalyst is when Laurel, the mother, meets a man who she begins to date, and he has a young daughter who reminds her of her own daughter who had disappeared. And from there, the mystery surrounding her daughter begins to unravel for her. I must admit, while this did really sound like a mystery to me going into it, there wasn't actually too much mystery to it. I think they revealed what happens kind of very early on, so you sort of know, for example, why she disappeared and what happened to her, and throughout the book you're just figuring out the details of it and watching Laurel, the mother, figure it out. Or at least for me anyway, I could see where it was going, so I wouldn't necessarily pick up this book if you want a real mystery. However, it was a very engrossing story and a very bizarre story as well. So if you're into something that's kind of weird, kind of creepy, then this would be a good book for you. As I said, I read it in one day, so I'm sure that all of you would enjoy it too. That wraps up my April wrap up. Hopefully you enjoyed these little summaries of what I read. Hopefully you guys will pick up some of these books. It was sort of a murder mystery, girls disappearing themed month for me. So if you have any recommendations for me that have those sort of similar themes, I'm kind of into that right now, like murder mysteries. And I will continue to do these wrap ups, so keep a lookout for next month. I've already finished one book in May, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks so much for watching. Like the video and subscribe for more content. Sometimes it will be bookish content, sometimes not. We'll see. Anyways, thanks. Bye.